Bonjour, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to my Julia Plus series, where we'll make the recipes of the great Julia Child with a little plus of my own. This lesson is coq au vin, one of the world's great dishes. To be authentic, we'd be using a rooster, but that's not very practical. So I use chicken pieces, as Julia did, but I braised mine longer, using a Dutch oven in a regular oven, because I like the meat to fall off the bone. My braising time was about 90 minutes, while Julia called for about 30. I also amp up the flavors with two different kinds of stock, double concentrate tomato paste instead of regular, and more garlic, because you can never have too much garlic. So let's start cooking. All right, now here we have our thick cut bacon, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut it into lardons. Lardons basically a piece that's about as wide as the bacon, about as the width of the bacon, and about a quarter of an inch wide. And I take full strips of bacon, I cut them in half. It's easier to handle them that way. And these have been brought to a boil and then simmered for about 5 minutes. Why do we do that? Well, Julia Child taught to do that so you remove excess fat, and also it gets rid of any of the smokiness of the bacon. So we're just going to cut these into quarter-inch pieces, and then we will have lardons. Now, if these are moist, you're going to need to blot them dry. Why do you blot them dry? So that they will brown better and faster in the next step when we cook them. If you don't blot them, if they're wet, they'll steam more than they'll brown. All right, and that's the same reason we're going to blot the chicken as well. These are a little bit damp, so I'm just going to spread them out and blot them a little bit. And if you watch my videos, you know don't use many paper towels because I think they're kind of wasteful. So I'm just using a kitchen towel to blot them. Okay. All right, now here we have our chicken pieces, about 3 pounds worth, and I'm not using the wings. They're in this bowl, but we're not going to use them. And we're going to use some breast pieces. So since breasts are so large, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the breasts into 3 pieces. So first we want to score them in 2 places, so we have roughly equal sized pieces. And then we want to cut across the bone with poultry shears, which have locked up on me. There we go. There we go. And just cut right across the bone, okay? And we're going to do that with both of the breast pieces. All right, and because our thigh pieces are pretty big too, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut those in half. And that way you get pieces that are more suited to individual servings. There we go. We're going to do that with both of the thigh pieces. All right, now we want to preheat the oven to 300 degrees. All right, now we have all of our chicken pieces out here on the board. We're just going to blot them dry. And if you watch my videos, you know I don't like to use paper towels because I think they're kind of wasteful. So we're going to use a kitchen towel and just blot them. Turn them over and blot the other side. All right, now we're going to season the chicken, and if you watch my videos, you know that seasoning means always and only salt and pepper, okay? So we're going to use kosher salt and just lightly, and then freshly ground black pepper. Then I like to pat it in. Then we'll turn them over and season the other side. All right, now we're going to do most of the rest in this Dutch oven. So what we're going to do is put the heat under it, which is going to be about a little less than medium, okay? And we have about 2 tablespoons of butter in the Dutch oven, and we're going to just melt that before we add the bacon. Okay, now we're going to add the lardons, right? We're going to just stir it around, get them coated, and we want to cook those until they are light brown, not crispy. Okay? Okay, the bacon looks light brown, not crispy. We're going to use a slotted spoon to take the bacon out of the Dutch oven. But we're going to leave the butter and any bacon fat that might have been rendered from the bacon in the Dutch oven, because we're going to use that to brown the chicken pieces. Okay? So next we're going to take chicken pieces. Just going to hold that bacon aside for now, okay? Then we're going to take the chicken pieces and we're going to add them to the Dutch oven. Okay. Get inside that. Now we're going to do them in batches because we don't have enough surface area in the pan to do them all at the same time. We're going to brown these first. Then we'll take them out and brown the others. Okay, now let's turn these over. Oh, they're looking nice and browned on one side. Okay, we're going to do that the same thing to this side. And then we're going to take them out and do the next batch. But I'm not going to show all that on camera. Okay, let's check these. Okay, they're looking nice and brown on this side. So we're going to take these out and we're going to do our next batch, but I'm not going to show the next batch on camera. All right, now we only had to do 2 batches of chicken, and the second batch is nicely browned. So now we're going to add the first batch back into the Dutch oven, along with any juices that might have come out onto the sizzle plate. We're going to put the bacon back in as well, and just mix that around a little bit. And then we're going to put the lid on it, turn it down to low heat, and let it cook for about 10 minutes. So I just put it on simmer. We'll let it cook for about 10 minutes, and after about 5 minutes, we're going to turn the pieces. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. We're just going to turn the pieces over as best we can, you know, and get them mixed up in there a bit. Okay, now we're going to cover it, let it cook for another 5 minutes. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. We're going to remove the cover. Then we're going to add the cognac, and we're going to try to flame it if we can. Yeah, I can see a flame down in there. And we're going to let that, let the flames burn off, and then we're going to let that reduce until it's almost dry. Okay, our cognac has reduced. Now we're going to add the wine. And then we're going to add some chicken stock and some beef stock. And we're going to add roughly the same amount of each until we've covered the chicken. Now I've got one piece of chicken that's kind of sticking up, but it looks like we need it all. Okay, so I just put it all in there. Okay, now we're going to add the garlic, which has all been crushed. And we'll add the thyme. Add the bay leaf and the double concentrated tomato paste. And then we're just going to stir that up a bit. I'm going to put the lid back on, and then we're going to put that in our 300-degree oven, and we're going to cook it until the meat is falling off the bone tender. So we're just going to check it from time to time and see how it's doing. All right, now we have our flour and 2 tablespoons of butter in this bowl, and we're going to blend them together to make like a paste, okay? And that's called beurre manie. Excuse my French. My French is terrible, just like my Japanese. And beurre means butter in French, and I don't know what manie means. And we're mixing them together to make a paste, okay? Okay, beautiful. Okay, we have a paste made with the butter and the flour. Okay. Okay, our chicken has been cooking about an hour and a half, 90 minutes, and I've checked it every 30 minutes to see if it's tender enough, and it is. It's very tender, almost falling off the bone, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to remove the chicken pieces from the liquid carefully so that they don't fall apart. We're also going to remove the thyme and the bay leaf. We're going to get rid of those. But we're going to take these chicken pieces out. I'm putting them on a sizzle platter. We're going to keep them warm. They're going to go back in here a little bit later, okay? So we're going to take out each piece. I can feel that this chicken wants to fall off of this bone here, the way when I'm squeezing it. Okay. All right, now, if we have any fat on the top, we want to try to skim that off, okay? All right, now we're going to put the heat on. We're going to bring that to a boil, and we're going to let it reduce to about somewhere between 2 and 2.5 cups. Now, we started with about 5 cups, okay? Now, that doesn't mean exactly reducing it in half, because the chicken probably rendered some liquid, but we also probably lost a little bit of liquid while we were in the oven, although probably not too much, because a Dutch oven is designed so that it doesn't lose much liquid. So we're roughly going to reduce this by about half. Bring it to a boil, and then manage the boiling. So we don't want it to be rolling boil. We want it to be gently boiling, and that will also be evaporating the water that's in this and reducing it. So you can see that it's starting to come to a rolling boil. I'm going to reduce the heat a bit to more of a gentle boil, and we'll let that reduce by roughly half. Okay, now we're going to take our flour butter paste, the beurre manie, and we're going to whisk that into our reduced cooking liquid. All right, now we're going to adjust our seasoning. Let's taste it. Good. Now this would be the time to add salt or pepper if you think it needs it, but I don't think it needs it. Now we're going to put the chicken back in, okay? And we're going to try to place them in there in an attractive way. We had some liquid on the sizzle plate. We're going to put that back in there. We're going to try to get the pieces, somewhat submerged in the sauce. Now we're going to add the mushrooms. We're going to try to spread them around, okay? And the onions, and we're going to do the same with those. We're going to try to spread them around in the Dutch oven. Try to get all the sauce off of the sizzle plate or whatever plate you have them on. Then we're going to just try to make sure they're arranged nicely. Press the onions and the mushrooms down into the liquid if you can. And to the extent that they're not submerged, take some of the sauce and baste so everything is covered with sauce. All right, now we're going to cover it back up. Cover it back up and let it simmer for about 5 minutes. Basically what we're doing is we're just warming everything up, okay? Now we're going to plate up, and we're going to try to get a nice mixture of chicken pieces and onions and mushrooms and sauce in each bowl, okay? We're going to garnish it. Now, I should say this before I garnish it. If you were not going to be serving this right away, it could skin. The sauce could skin on the top. To prevent that, you can take little dabs of butter, just tiny little pieces of butter, like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch square, and dot them on top of the sauce. That will melt in the warm sauce and cause kind of a film over the top, which will keep it from skinning. But I'm serving right away, so we don't have to worry about that. So now we're going to garnish with a little bit of parsley. Julia's recipe calls for parsley sprigs. I like to chop parsley. So there we have it. This is Julia Child's coq au vin with a little plus. It includes her browned braised onions and her sauteed mushrooms. You can see photos of the final dish at my Instagram, which is at Chef's Apprentice, Cook Like a Pro. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.